So this is a story about when I was an undergraduate at the University of Georgia with two other friends who happened to be also from Madisonville, Tennessee. We all attended the University of Georgia at the same time. And so I'm just going to call this story the Jailbird. It was about 3 or 4 hour drive from Athens, Georgia to Madisonville, Tennessee, and my pals Harold Carden and Darrell Campbell and myself made this trip back and forth relatively often. We usually took one or the other of our cars and all rode together. On one such trip, Darrell and I were riding with Harold. After we passed through the Georgia town of Chatsworth and were heading up a long straight stretch just south of the Tennessee state line, a dilapidated pickup truck with sideboards and some livestock in the back pulled out in front of us. There was nothing coming the opposite direction, so Harold pulled around and passed the truck that was going about 20 miles per hour. It was clear and straight, the road ahead, so Harold accelerated to a safe speed of about 55 miles per hour, and only a mile or two to go before we would cross into Tennessee. But Harold looked in his rearview mirror and saw the yellow flashing light of a police car. He pulled over, and the officer said that we had illegally passed the truck on a double yellow line, and we had exceeded the 35 mile per hour speed limit, and we were going to go back with him to Chatsworth. He pulled in behind us, and we drove 30 miles an hour all the way back to town. Then things got worse. We were ushered into the sheriff's office, where we were informed that the fine for each offense would be $30, for a total of $60, and they did not accept checks. We pooled our resources, and we couldn't even come up with $20 between the three of us. Now, it got even worse. The sheriff said that he would have to hold the driver, Harold, in jail until we could come up with the money, and they would be impounding the car. So Darrell and I set off on foot toward downtown Chatsworth. Fortunately, I had my checkbook, so I was going to go to a bank and cash a check. But it was after 5 p.m., and the town was pretty much shut down on this Friday evening. There was a light in one store, a drugstore, so we walked in. The proprietor said he was in the process of closing, so if it was something quick, he would help us. I told him what had happened with our friend, and now that he was in jail, and he interrupted and said, "So, you want to cash a check. Do you know how many bad checks I get from people under the same circumstance?" I told him we were desperate, and I promised that I had enough in the bank to cover the check, and I would not stop payment. He looked at me squarely and said, "You look like an honest young man." And he cashed the check. I thanked him lavishly, but nothing could have expressed the relief and appreciation I felt at the moment. We took the money to the jail and paid the fine and left, traveling well below the speed limit, and in future trips through Chatsworth we were keenly aware of our speed and of the passing restrictions.